Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So I'm going to show you today how to install the heatsink on M.2 SSDs and then how to install them on the PS5. So with September's software update, we have now got the option to install additional SSDs on PS5, and it can go up to around 4 TB. So let's begin. So as per the PS5 recommendations, we need to install an M.2 SSD with a thermal pad and a heatsink. This is required to better manage the heat and give a better performance for your SSD. A couple of things that we'll require would be the SSD and the heatsink and thermal pad, along with a screwdriver and a sturdy table. Make sure your PS5 was turned off at least 4 to 5 hours before you do this, just to avoid damage. Now let's just see the recommendation that Sony tells for the SSD. So these are supported sizes. The size that usually is used is the 2280, and we can expand it up to 4 TB, as you can see. Now you should be very careful when you buy your SSD. So you need to buy a PCI Express Gen 4x4 supported M.2 NVMe SSD. There are tons of SSD in the market, so you have to make sure this is specified in the description whenever you buy, if you're buying it online. And when you buy the heatsink, just make sure you have the right size after you attach it along with the SSD. So the total length is up to 110 mm, and the total thickness is up to 2.45 mm. So you have to check that before you purchase the heatsink. And read speed has to be beyond 5500 MB. So this is the single-sided SSD heatsink, where the heatsink and the thermal pad is only on the single side of the SSD, that's the top side. And then we have the two-side thermal pad. So you have the SSD in the middle, you have two thermal pads, one above, one below, and the heatsink on top, and the base cover at the bottom. So these covers are usually different type of materials. What I have is the aluminum kind. All right, so let's open up the heatsink and the SSD. So let me just tell you which model this is. Um, so this is the Johnson M.2.3 NVMe heatsink dissipation radiator. It has an aluminum alloy heatsink with 3x thermal power, and it's for M.2 2280 SSD heatsink. So as you can see, this is a double-sided M.2 SSD. It has thermal pads on both sides. And this is it. That's the top aluminum cover. And the thermal pads. So we have one here. These have plastic casing on them, so we'll have to remove them before we install it. Now let's look at the M.2 SSD. So this is a Samsung 980 Pro. It's 500 gigs. So these are one of the recommended SSDs. We have some from WD as well. At this point, we have very few SSDs in the market that are supported for PS5, but I would go for Samsung at this point. Let's open it up. Alright, here we go. So that's the SSD. Ooh, it's pretty small. Let's cover this up. Safety first. Right, so let's take a close look at the SSD and take it out of the cover. Yep, so Samsung SSD 980 Pro. So you can expand your storage in PS5 up to 4 TB with the additional SSD, but as you keep increasing, like from 250 to 4 TB, the cost of the SSD will increase quite a lot. If you purchase a 4 TB SSD, it's going to cost you almost the same amount as your PS5. So I would prefer to buy a smallest size, maybe 500 to 1 TB. It's more than enough. And if you still don't have space, just transfer the games to a regular hard disk with a USB 3.1. So let's take the plastic casing. Here we go. Alright, oops. Okay, so we're gonna place it on top of the SSD. Just make sure it doesn't cover the connection point and the slot at the back for the screw that would tighten up the SSD in the PS5 console. So just leave enough gap after the connection point. Let me just try to adjust this a bit. So I think the mistake that I did is I took out both the plastic casing at the same time from both sides of the thermal pad. So let's not do that over here. I'll just take out the one from the bottom. This would give me make it a little easy for me to put it on top. Yep, there you go. Once it's tight enough, take out the second one. Yep. Alright. So that looks good. Now let's put it in the casing. So this, you see the top part, that's the top one. You can see based on the connection pin which side would be on top. So we'll put it at the bottom casing first and just tighten it to it. Yep, there you go. And then the top one will slide in. Right. Just make sure you have the space for the pin and the screw at the back. And the top casing is tight enough, so it doesn't wiggle around or move when you're trying to install the SSD. So let me show you the gap that I've left on top. So that's very important because if you cover up the pin, it would not fit in the SSD slot. Yeah, and you can see here that's the gap you have to leave so that we can tighten up the SSD inside the PS5. Alright, so let me just bring my PS5 and then we'll start the installation. So when you do the installation, you have to make sure you keep the PS5 upside down where the power button is facing away from you and the logo would be underneath. So we have to open the top cover first so that you hold both the top end and the bottom edge and then lift it very gently and then push it to the left. Alright, now having a little bit of trouble. Let's just see. Ah, there you go. Alright, yep. So this is the back side of the logo and you can see the pins that goes from the cover. Alright, so let's open up the slot. So you need to use a screwdriver which has a star bottom. open that up. That will open up the covering for the SSD slot. Just lift it. Yep. Alright, so there is a screw and a holder at the bottom right that we have to open up. So we'll have to open up the screw and take the very small holder, and we need to keep that holder on the slot that will hold the SSD. So for my size is 2280, so that's where that will go. And now let me install the SSD. Seems like it got a bit loose, so I just need to adjust it a little bit. Now when you install the SSD in the slot, you will hear a small click noise. So when you hear that, that means the SSD is in the slot. So put that small screw and then tighten it up properly, so that when you keep your PS5 in the upright position, it doesn't wiggle around or doesn't get loose enough. Tighten the screw properly so that it doesn't move, and put the casing back on. So the casing should slide in. Yep, there you go. And put the first screw that we took out. Alright, let's tighten the screw. Okay, there you go. Let's put the back case back in. So you see these pins, there are particular slots, so you need to put it in the slot and then slide in from left to right. And when you slide in, you will hear a prominent click noise. That's when you know that it's set. Your PS5, you will see a message like this. So at that point, format your SSD, and once the formatting is complete, it will be ready. So thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. There will be a lot of videos coming up. Please check out all the videos that are currently on my channel with gaming and tech videos. You can reach out to me on Instagram and see me live on Twitch with various upcoming games. Thanks a lot.